We're going to get started, so we'll ask everybody to just please have a seat. Thank you. Well, so welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for this year's Mission Possible Student Competition. It's like my favorite thing at the Philanthropy School, aside from the students who are all my favorites. My name is Tiffany Benjamin. I am the CEO of the Humana Foundation, which is based out of Louisville, Kentucky, but I'm a proud Hoosier, born and bred. And I am here because I am really passionate about mentoring young people. I love seeing the inspiration. I also love pandas, in case you were interested. So I'm going to hand it off to the other two MCs to share a little bit about themselves.
Hi, I'm Deborah Jacobs. I have the privilege of being the president and CEO of the Patterson Foundation. In fact, the Patterson Foundation this year is celebrating our 5th year of doing multi-level partnering with the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. So we are very excited about that partnership. What am I passionate about? It's finding and nurturing and cultivating possibilitarians. So if you are one, I'd love to talk to you sometime.
And finally, I'm Courtney Brown. I'm Vice President of Strategic Impact and Planning at Lumina Foundation, headquartered right here in Indianapolis. And I am passionate about increasing opportunity for everyone, regardless of race, class, parents, geography, or what color shoes you wear, that everybody can live up to their full potential. And I'm passionate about, if I think about pandas, I'm passionate about gelato. So,
And if it's pink shoes, I support it. So it's now the time we've all been waiting for. Imagine a drum roll. It's the student presentations. Woohoo! 5 undergraduate and 5 graduate students will be presenting 5x5 presentations, meaning they will have 5 minutes to present 5 slides about an issue they are passionate about, why the issue is important, and steps they hope to take to solve the issue. After completion of the presentation, the judges will determine the top 3 graduate and top 3 undergraduate presentations. Those students will be awarded academic scholarships. I want to also note that today we will be discussing some sensitive topics, so please take care of yourself. If you need to leave the room or exit because something is making you uncomfortable, please do so. This is a space where we want everybody to feel supported, and if there's a moment where you feel uncomfortable, it's okay. Just take that time for yourself. So with that, it is now my pleasure to introduce you to our first undergraduate student contestant of the night, Zoie Alger.
Anyways, my name is Zoie Alger, and my presentation today is about diversifying the arts education system in Indianapolis. Let's get this mic up there. Give me a second. There we go. Diversifying the Indianapolis arts education system and overall adding more diversity to Indianapolis and future professionals. I need the clicker. That's probably useful. Anyways. So a little bit about me. As you can see from these pictures, these are me in my true element where my passions could really shine. Whether that be on stage or jamming out to some Glee karaoke, the arts have made a huge impact on my life. But before the arts, I was very closed off and not really out there. I was diagnosed with depression at the age of 13, and I really didn't know what my purpose was or what I wanted to be. So longing for that sense of community and that sense of passion, I decided to join theater, and I joined my first production, Annie Jr. And from that moment on, I was set. I continued on in the performing arts for an additional 4 years, and overall, I learned how to be a better leader, a better sister, and a better friend. I had an instructor named Jared Yoder who used to say he was always teaching a little bit of music and a whole lot of life, and that was very prominent in my life. So a consistent thing I noticed while involved in the arts is I went to 11 different competitions for different arts, whether it be theater and choir, and I noticed that even in groups of 60 to 70 people, there would be about 1 to 2 people of color. And this got me wondering, why is that the case? So I decided to look into it further, and that's when I found out that access to the arts is not equal. About only 28% of African Americans and 26% of Hispanics in America have access to arts education. And Indy is 39.6% African American or Hispanic. So I decided to look into school demographics. What does that look like in our schools? And that's when I discovered that only one of the 73 IPS schools have a visual arts program, and 76% of IPS students are students of color. So you might be thinking, okay, they don't have access to arts education. Why does this matter? It matters because the arts create strong leaders. People who are involved in the arts are 3 times more likely to pursue a bachelor's degree, are 5 times less likely to drop out of school, and 72% of business leaders say that creativity is the #1 skill they look for when hiring. So with kids being involved in the arts, it gives them the opportunity to get these skills that leaders are looking for. So how do we make arts more accessible? My solution for Indianapolis is the Rhythm of Indy. The Rhythm of Indy would be an IUPUI hosted event sponsored by the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy and Heron School of Art and Design. The event would allow anybody in Indianapolis to be able to have access to arts workshops, exhibition shows, anything to allow them to have hands-on experience in the arts, even if it's not available in their education system. IUPUI would provide the facilities, and student organizations such as, on a side note, Acapella, the Moving Company, the African Dance Club, the Crafting Creative Club, and Jags Band would host workshops, classes, and exhibitions for attendees to attend. And then the event as a whole would be donation-based admission. So people would be able to donate what they felt, and then students would have free admission with ID. So you might be thinking, how do we provide resources? How are we going to afford to provide like transportation or vendors and stuff like that? I came up with the idea of Discover and Donate, which is similar to Dine and Donate, where theaters such as the Civic Theater and Footlight Musicals would be able to host free donation-based admission shows, and all of the funding would go towards transportation to get IPS students to the event, as well as any of the behind-the-scenes costs. The event would also ideally be a volunteer-ran staff. So I was hoping to collaborate with the PHSTP 211 Philanthropy and Humanities class, where the students would be able to take on volunteer coordinating for the event and be able to get hands-on philanthropic experience as well as in the arts sector. Overall, the event's goal would be to raise funds for Indie Arts Council's Any Given Child Indie program, which provides IPS students, all 22,000, with the ability to be able to experience arts and education. So as a community, we can paint together, sing together, create together, and overall make the arts more accessible for IPS students and anybody in the Indianapolis area. Thank you.
Philanthropic studies and minoring in event management. Zoie was born and raised in Indianapolis and is passionate about arts education advocacy. In her free time, she enjoys learning to play the piano, painting, and spending time with her sorority sisters of Sigma Kappa. The title of her presentation, as you saw, was The Rhythm of Indy. So again, thank you, Zoie. So next up is Winston Snyder. So do you want to walk up as I brag about you? Okay. So Winston Snyder was born and raised in Indianapolis on the north side in the village of Broad Ripple, off the banks of the White River. He's a returning student to IUPUI this semester, majoring in philanthropic studies with a minor in economics. He plans to attend graduate school to pursue law and public administration. Winston has long advocated for civility and tolerance in all relationships. The title of Winston's presentation is Resolving Polarizing Conflict. On Winston.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for that kind introduction. As a young person today, I ask myself daily, how did we become so polarized? Having grown up in this nation, we had civil discourse where you can debate vigorously and as passionately as you liked. Why, at the end of that debate, you would not have ill will to your adversary, or having grown up in an older lifestyle that at the end of maybe you break out an American song, crown thy good with brotherhood. Those days are past us where we are struggling to engage with one another, having discussions about our needs. It's become quite unfortunate that it has collapsed in that way of a calculated ideological camps. Our society today needs further engagement. And so I've always strived in my passions to live that. As a younger person, back in the year 2013, I was fortunate enough to travel to Ukraine on behalf of an NGO by the name of LifeNets, based here in Indiana. For 2 weeks, at the age of 17, I taught Western civilization, English, and Christianity to orphan children, from ages 4 to 18. When I arrived in Ukraine, I was a pilgrim in an unknown land. When I left Ukraine, I had a newfound love for a people I had never known because I immersed myself in a language and a culture and society I was not familiar with. This changed my perspective forever, and when I left Ukraine, I carried with me a passion to hear everyone's story. So to this day, now with that understanding, when I came to IUPUI, there was a place and a forum for that. And it was in Model United Nations, where we had young people debate vigorously about what they were passionate about on international affairs and what have you. But having returned now to IUPUI once again, I see the political divide and the cultural divide is even worse and now a threat to our nation's well-being. After the election of 2020, Pew Research, now having called President Biden the victor of that election, said that we are in a most painful political and cultural divide that America has not seen since the Civil War of that era so long ago. Now in our lives, we have to once again embrace the difficult challenges ahead. And so this high degree of potential danger has once again, it's merged its ugly face to our lives. So why should we care about division and intolerance? But more, I would ask you, why does it matter? I'd say because it matters because once we lose sight of civil discourse, we lose sight of everything decent and integral part of our society and community. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lilly School of Philanthropy focuses on that sustainability. And right now we're on an unsustainable track of challenges before us. Abraham Lincoln once so said, the house divided cannot stand. And we're living on just trends of that now where individuals aren't able to engage with one another. An intolerant society and the challenges are plaguing us in the polarization. So before we become calcified, we must be aware of the efficient needs that we have to address, because when we become polarized, we can't efficiently address the needs. So some say, and this is verily true, that most Americans are addicted to outrage. That's their only way to output and input in their lives, is what the rage that they put forth in all their actions. So I would advocate to you, as part of the Lilly School Philanthropy, that we have to have a forum, a nonpartisan forum that allows students, faculty to have a voice to be expressed to their individual needs or as groups. So we are capable of doing something that the nation is longing for around the world, to have a place of discussion. There's so many places in the world where you can't share what you feel about what's happening. And we need that. And IUPUI, particularly the Lilly School of Philanthropy, would be most suited and perfectly suited to host something like that with a nonpartisan committee with students and faculty involved. So we have issues like gun control, racial violence, sex and gender issues, civil equity, global conflict, as of late, Israel and Hamas, Russia and Ukraine, but most importantly here at home, freedom of speech. These issues matter to us, and they affect every one of us, but we can only engage with one another if we so choose to care. So in summation, a proactive program led by community champions can lead the way to the restoration of civil discourse in our society and the reduction of calcifying intolerance. To make a deliberate and sustained effort for it to be a success, we must be engaged. So our nation, our community, including our campus community, must address the crippling conflicts that has settled. This crisis took time and its efforts in coming to fruition, and now it's with our efforts that we can make it fall away and make an effort in one to be engaged with one another. So I ask you, do you wish to be engaged with one another?
Thank you so much, Winston. Next up, we have Porshea Johnson. So Porshea Johnson is a senior at the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. Porshea is originally from Woodland Hills, California, and is a proud mother of 2 teenage sons. Having overcome both homelessness and health barriers, she understands the positive impact philanthropy can have on one's life. Her passion is to use her voice to bridge the gap between donors and recipients through storytelling and grant writing. The title of her presentation is Creating a More Flourishing BIPOC Community with the Help of the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy.
Good evening, everyone. Imagine a life without philanthropy. Imagine your life with the powerful knowledge you have of philanthropy now. Unfortunately, for many within the BIPOC community, better known as Black, Indigenous, and people of color, the harsh reality is they don't have access to the things that they need. "92% of US foundations and presidents and 70% of program officers are white. Recent study found net unrestricted assets for organizations led by Black leaders are 76% smaller than those of white leaders. Why should we care? Why do I care? I am a part of the BIPOC community, and as you heard in my bio, I once was homeless. I once was going through a very hard time being a single mother, relocating to Indianapolis from California, and went through a divorce. These are the barriers that happen in life for a lot of people. And a lot of times people don't have access to those resources. They can't find those resources or obtain them, and then they're left stuck in a deficit. However, we at the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, and why I became a student at the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, is because I wanted to have impact in this field. I wanted to be able to be like the people who were the homeless shift supervisors on their jobs, helping day in and day out. It's important to me in order to have that opportunity to help others and serve others and be a voice to those people. And I believe we at the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy can rally and also be able to have the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy Leadership Learning Hub, where I believe that we together can help have practical solutions to make improvements. One, we could host a future BIPOC adolescents and grassroots organization with financial and grant writing workshops. We can host healing and diversifying human retreats for existing nonprofits. And also, we can host networking socials to collaborate and connect, building promising relationships with our time, our talents, and our treasures. We can make room for everyone together to have access to philanthropy done right. We are the front line, and we can be the positive example in those times to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Portia. Next, we have Jordan Rosner. Jordan is a senior at the Lilly School of Philanthropy. She recently declared a minor in ethics and has an associate of applied science and business administration. Jordan's hometown is Plainfield, Indiana, but she currently resides in Fairland with her fiance, son, and 2 dogs. This past summer, she traveled abroad to Europe for the first time and already cannot wait to return. We get it. We get it, Jordan. The title of Jordan's presentation is Connecting Caregivers and Resources Through Technology.
on? Can you guys hear me? Oh, now we can. Okay. All right, everyone. My name is Jordan Rosner. Thank you for joining me today. I'm here to talk to you about how we can connect Hoosier families to resources using technology. This is a project that's important to me because I myself am a mother, as was stated in my bio. This beautiful little boy up here is my son. His name is Rhett. He just turned 2 last month. Rhett and I had a pretty easy, smooth pregnancy. I still found myself spending hours on the phone and using computer websites, though, to look up information and resources that we needed. And then when time came to our labor and birth, things did not go so well. I was induced on a Monday night and didn't give birth until Wednesday morning, and I was pushing for a total of 4 hours, leading to my son having collapsed lungs and a blood infection. I was lucky to have both my fiance and my family as a support system, but not as many other people are quite as lucky. And even with that, they still struggle, as I did, to find resources for my family. Many other mothers have this experience as well. So highlighted here are different statistics that show you how Indiana fares compared to the rest of the nation. We have the maternal mortality rate per 100,000 births. We have the percentage of birthing people who have received inadequate or no prenatal care. We have the number of food insecure children in the state, as well as the child and teen death rate per 100,000 children, and the number of Title X clinics in the state per 100,000 women. As you can see, especially for the maternal mortality rate, the child and teen death rate, and the Title X clinic, we are not faring so well compared to the rest of the nation. We rank 3rd highest for maternal mortality rate, and we just could be doing better. So how do we go about fixing this? I propose that we create an informational hub for mothers and all caregivers that gather all necessary resources for them to locate. This would be in the form of an app, ideally. We would connect resources such as food banks, government assistance, childcare. The options really are numerous here. Gather them all into one area. The app would be designed by having web links to relevant organization sites. We'd also include an interactive map so that women and caregivers could filter, finding the resources that they need most quickly. Excuse me. We would also include contact information and addresses to relevant organizations, especially those like food banks where you have to be physically present to receive the benefit. And then it would be optimized for mothers, but again, this is accessible to anybody. We would want to make it further accessible by creating a website because we have to consider those who don't have access to phones. We would create a QR link and create a link for the website as well. Make sure that those are distributed to all partner organizations and that they're available at every public library. And we would make sure that there are resources for marginalized communities, specifically people of color, the LGBTQ community, immigrants, as well as many others. How would this help? This would take a 2-generation approach. What I mean by that is we would be helping both the mother and the child, causing a ripple effect throughout all families. It would increase knowledge of available resources, leading to improved access to child and maternity care, improved access to mental health care, and this would just further expand options for caregivers and mothers and give them more choices to take care of their family in the way they best feel is possible. So studies show that less stress on families leads to a better environment for children, which in turn leads to better overall child well-being indicators. Once this app is designed, to design this app, we want to start by contacting all partner organizations, resource experts, and tech experts. We will need them to determine obstacles, how to overcome these obstacles, and to gather relevant resources. We also need the tech experts to help us, of course, create the app and design the website. Next, we would focus on the greater Indianapolis area because we have a lot of resources here, but we also still have a lot of people in need. So it would be a really good trial area to get this app off the ground. We would make sure next that the information to access is distributed everywhere. So just make sure that the completion of the distribution of the QR code and the link is in place. Next, we would take in relevant feedback, enhance the app, and once we put in the recommendations based on feedback, we would expand it to regions, starting with the ones that need the help the most. Then finally, I suggest that we plan a committee or create a team to continue to update this app in perpetuity because this is a long-term solution and it's going to take more than just a couple of years to solve. So together, I hope that we can create a better environment for all families through a common denominator, which is the mother. Thank you.
I just get to the best timing on who I thank and who I introduce, because Jordan this past spring took the Study Away course with the Patterson Foundation. So I just wanted to give her a little shout out there. Thank you, Jordan. So our next student is Kimberly Hesterman. And again, I'm going to brag about connections to the Patterson Foundation because she is in the midst of starting her paid internship with Resilient Retreat. But enough about the Patterson Foundation. Let me move on to our student. So Kimberly Hesterman is a sophomore double majoring in philanthropic studies and finance. She's from Dyer, Indiana, and some of her biggest passions include mental health awareness and suicide prevention. Kimberly enjoys photography, running, and traveling, and she also loves dogs and ice cream. The title of her presentation is More Than Biology.
Hello, everyone. When I look back in science, when I look back to science classes from elementary school level to high school, I always remember one specific unit, the genetic unit, and where you would look at your mom and dad's dominant and recessive genes, put it in a Punnett square, and find out why you have certain physical characteristics. Well, I couldn't really participate in this activity growing up. My story starts when one of my two parents adopted me from a district called Fuling, China, when I was 10 months old. I never really came to terms with the fact that adoption was such a big part of my identity until my senior year of high school, when my guidance counselor made me realize that I do have a unique story and I want to spread awareness and share it. I never felt like I really belonged in a box or a certain group based on not being part of the Asian community growing up because I didn't have the same upbringing, but also that I didn't really feel like I belonged in my family because I didn't look the same. And growing up in a predominantly white area, I just was not represented. Adoption in the United States. There are roughly about 200,000 Asian adoptees in the United States right now. And there's a lot of pressure put on adoptees and the adoptee community, such as feeling like you have to be extremely grateful and lucky that you're adopted when it's not like we had a choice. And the question about, who are your real parents? Well, I mean, these people raised me, so I would assume they are. And it's just a lot of confusing things to deal with when you're younger. And a big portion of things that I've been learning lately is adoption trauma and how feeling like you weren't good enough from the start, or that you were given up, or that you have attachment issues and emotional attachment issues. And there's just a lot of things that are kind of overlooked in the adoptee community that aren't really talked about as much. The Asian community overall is one that's hurting. After COVID-19, an increase in Asian hate crimes increased 339% from 2020 to 2021. From not feeling like you even are a part of the Asian community to now having a target on your back because of how you look when you walk into public places. It was a very isolating feeling, and that not a lot of people could relate to, especially when you're from an interracial family who doesn't look the same and can't share those same struggles as you do. From being told that you should go back to where you came from when this is the only place I've ever considered home, to being asked by my history teacher, are you going to eat your dogs for dinner tonight? And just a lot of these experiences that adoptees, people in marginalized communities just experience either on the daily, in school, it just should not happen. Some of the solutions that I'm proposing, or just aspects of things to take a better step towards a positive direction, is to use your voice and vote. Research people who are in the positions of power to be making decisions and research them to make sure that they are going to be uplifting the marginalized communities and the people who are not heard. You can speak at your local school board meetings and look at the curriculum that's being shown and if it's diversified, and people who want to diversify that curriculum to make adoptees' voices known, to make the literature that's being shown in schools being able to be representative of a whole population. And I also want to add to support adoptee advocacy nonprofits, because there are so many nonprofits in America that are doing such good things to spread awareness about adoption, about the trauma that comes with it, and to be able to hear stories of people who are struggling in our community. Specifically, Chinese Adoption Foundation actually connected me with the group that I'm in right now, the Indiana Adoptee Alliance. So they're amazing resources, and I truly believe if we listen to each other and listen to people's stories and marginalized communities, that we are able to take a step towards the right direction. And through the people I've surrounded myself with in my life, I know, and I hope that everyone else knows, that family is really more than biology. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. And that is the end of our undergraduates. Ooh, it's an impressive group, so I'd ask that we give them all a round of applause before we move on. Good. Now on to our graduate students. We begin with Arif Ahmed. Arif is a second-year master's student in the Philanthropic Studies program. He is from Chittagong, Bangladesh, and his area of interest is social justice. He enjoys traveling, cooking, singing, and playing cricket and badminton. Ooh, dual sports, I love it. The title of Arif's presentation is Empowering Voices, Ending Silence, Combating Sexual Assault in Bangladesh.
This is Nusrat Jahan Rafi. She's a school-going teenage kid from the same division where I used to live in Bangladesh. She was a survivor of sexual assault and assaulted by her school principal. Yes, she was, as long as she remained silent about what happened to her. She was burned to death in a broad daylight at her school when she spoke against that. This is one of 1,000 incidents of Bangladesh that is happening every single day. Every individual and family, those who have girls and women in their house, they are concerned while their girls and women go outside of house, no matter it is educational institute, religious institute, shopping mall, anywhere. And I am a brother of 3 sisters. Ladies and gentlemen, in the shadow of our society, behind the closed door, and sometimes shrouded in the silence, there is a grave issue persist, which is sexual assault. It's very uncomfortable to discuss, but due to our silence, it has become a silent pandemic, not in Bangladesh, but all over the world. Why sexual assault is happening in Bangladesh? The first reason is lack of sex education, because we don't have any sex education in any of our educational institutions, from primary to university. Political power, religious influence, and biased judicial system. Let's look on some data. According to US Department of Justice, 91% of sexual assault survivors are women, and 9% are men, and 99% of perpetrators are male. Every year, 736 million women around the world are victims of sexual assault, according to the data of the World Bank. In Bangladesh, 54% of women have experienced physical and sexual abuse at least once in their lifetime. The number is higher when it is rural women, that is 71%. Within last 5 years, around 100,000 sexual assault case has been filed in police station. Till October 2023, around 10,000 cases has been filed, including 4,360 rape, 240 gang rape, and 450 murder after rape case. 68% of these incidents of Bangladesh are always remain unreported because they don't even have any place to report, not even any educational institution, professional institution. They don't have any place to report sexual assault. There is a significant lack of data on sexual assault in Bangladesh because till 2006, there was no any organization. Still, there is no any organization that is dedicatedly work for sexual assault issue. And their data is only based on some newspaper report. Why everybody should care about this issue? The first thing is human rights. The second thing is fostering a culture of consent. Then the mental health and well-being. And the fourth thing is community and social safety. Social responsibility of us to establish justice and accountability in society. To break the silence about that issue and establish gender equality. We can fight against this issue through a program. I named it CARE. C for collective action. Develop and implement sex education and programs in every institution so that every individual can aware of consent, boundaries, and healthy relationship. Active collaboration with local leaders, schools, and religious institutions because they have huge influence in our society. Advocate for and support policies and laws for effective legal framework. Foster inclusivity and representation in every stage of society. A for awareness. Public campaigns and initiatives. Promote community conversation and workshops to address cultural norms, attitudes, and behaviors. Network with media outlets so that they can be more responsible while reporting on sexual assault issue. R for responsiveness. Establishment of first ever dedicated organization to fight with this topic, like that will be Bangladesh Sexual Assault Prevention and Support Network. Comprehensive research and evidence-based strategies to collect data and the nature of data on that topic. Dedicated 24/7 helpline with immediate assistance, medical care, and legal support. Learning from successful initiatives from worldwide. Collaboration with international organizations and experts to ensure best practices. E for empathy and compassion. Active listening to the survivors. Validate their feelings. Respect every individual's boundary. Avoid victim blaming and offer support to every individual, those who are survivors of sexual assault. According to a data of Amnesty International, 1 in 3 women will be raped, beaten, or abused in her lifetime. Just think once how terrible the information is. That means no girls and women around us are safe. Sexual assault is not only a severe crime, it's a violent of from very root of our humanity. And I believe here everyone, we are not as presenter and audience. We are here as united force to fight against sexual assault with all our commitments, compassion, and action. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Arif. And now on to our next presenter. Zoie Alger is a second-year master's student from Dhaka, Bangladesh. He also holds a bachelor's and a master's in political science from the University of Dhaka. In conjunction with his current program at the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, Nazmo is completing a certificate at the Zakat Foundation Institute in Muslim Humanitarianism. The title of Nazmo's presentation is Hidden Struggles of Homelessness in Bangladesh, a Holistic Approach.
Hello everyone. As I was introduced, I'm Nazmul Haq and I'm from Bangladesh. And today I'm going to talk about an issue that is more important and severe in any parts of the world, that is housing. We all know that there are a lot of basic human needs, and the most three is that food, clothing, and housing. Housing is most important because if you don't have place to stay, then you have become vulnerable to many various things. In developing countries, it becomes more severe because if a person becomes homeless, with him or her, the whole family become homeless. So in that family, there are a lot of children, kids, elderly people like parents. So they all become vulnerable to various issues. In Bangladesh, this is a small country. We have a large populations, and this is a severe problem that right now we are fighting for. And it is happening because there are a lot of reasons, including poverty, natural calamities, and many more. But the problem is that we don't have any centralized policies, any centralized approaches to address the issues. So let's see what data says. In data, Bangladesh, there are 5 million people are homeless, which is equal to the total population of Alabama. Number is very big if we compare to the another state. And as I already said that, children are also becoming homeless because of their family. And now the number is, homeless children number is 670,000, which is the total population is women. So it's a huge number. And as I already mentioned that they become vulnerable to various issues like assaulted and abuses, many more things. A study found that 83% of total homeless women, they said that they are being assaulted by their husbands, police officers, and many more people in the street, which become another issues, like my colleague already said that, sexual assault. And if we talk about the male homeless member, then it becomes the drug addictions. 69% said that they have been using drugs, like heroin and many more injected drugs. So it's a huge matter. So why the causes? I mean, what is the reasons? Like in the first slide, extreme poverty, natural calamities. We have various natural calamities like floods, drought, cyclones. We have political violences. We have addictions problem and many more. So why it is matter? Why it is matter to me and matter to us? It is a matter because it's a human rights. It is declared by Universal Human Rights Declaration, Article 25, that housing is a human right. And I do care because I have various personal experiences. I have seen them when I was going to my home, to my school, my colleges, my universities. I saw them, they're suffering. I can feel their suffering. When I here at Indianapolis, I have seen the same situations when I was walking to school to my home. Because there at the snowfall event, I can find that there is a man who was standing in the bus stoppage to secure themselves from the wind. So I can feel their pain. So that is the reason that I think it's a basic human needs that we need to address more carefully. And another thing is that if a person becomes homeless, they lost their dignity. That's a very important thing. If a person lost his dignity, they become actually, it's a very sad thing. And if we don't care about any humanity, we can care about the economy. 5 million people, we lost 5 million people of workforce. It's a huge loss to our economy, to our society. So, like Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. I want to dream a society that with zero homeless people. So I would like to address the issues to develop a platform in Bangladesh to address these issues holistically. Like in Bangladesh, there are a lot of NGOs working in the field, but they are scattered. So I would like to make a platform so that they can come together and address the issues togetherly. Like first, we can actually address in the cities area. We can provide the supports, trains, and other basic necessities to the families who's actually living in the street, providing the education to the kids, and also train the workable member of the family, which actually enable them to make a sustainable solutions. Later, this initiative can be extended to the other parts of the country. And most importantly, we can do individually various things, but when it becomes included in the policies, it becomes more sustainable. So that team will evaluate and review all the good practices around the world about homeless issues and our current, the current experiences, and make a proposal to the government so that they can include in the policies. And to do this, government is not easily going to do this. We have to include the media so that it can make a pressure, and also aware the local people, common people, so that they can more aware about the issues. So look, this is the two photos. One is from Dhaka, another is LA. Situation is same, but location is different. So now it's our moral duty as a human being so that we can do something to ensure these kids' future is safe and secure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nazmul. Next up, we have Aimee Tapeceria. Aimee Grace Tapeceria is a first-year master's student from the Philippines. She describes herself as a third culture young adult. Aimee has a love for travel, communication, youth development, disaster response, social entrepreneurship, and in the last 5 years, marketing and fundraising. Whew, it's a lot of stuff. She's a global citizen that is striving to make this place better for the next generation. The title of Aimee's presentation is Angels for Home.
Hello. Right. So, start. Good evening, everyone. My name is Aimee Grace Tapeceria. I am from the country of the Philippines, one of the world's most disaster-prone countries. Why, you may ask? Well, it's part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, where most of the world's active volcanoes are located. So we receive a lot of earthquakes and eruptions. And we are also part of the typhoon belt, wherein we are usually visited by around a dozen destructive typhoons each year. As a young child, disaster was part of life. When I grew older, I wanted to do something about it. The Adventist Development and Relief Agency is an organization that I was a part of. It is a global humanitarian arm of the Seventh-day Adventist Church and has been operating for the last 40 years in 112 countries. In 2010, I was a volunteer. And actually, in listening to all of our presentations this afternoon, it really spurred on a lot of memories, because that is what we've been doing with an NGO, because disaster response, when it comes to poverty, when it comes to women's rights, when it comes to all of these, volcano right there, that's what we've been doing. But I became officially employed by the organization in 2018, and they gave me a special challenge. The special challenge was, you are now the PR and marketing officer. Why is that? Well, because despite everything that we've been doing, funds are moving away because there are greater needs elsewhere. So what did we try to do? How do you try to raise funds locally from a people whose estimated average income is $308 per month per family? Well, what can we do but try, right? So this is a team. It started off with me alone in 2018, And then, as most marketing people know, there is a system of ways that you set up before you can even start going and making the ask. But finally, after 5 years, we got the courage to go and make the ask. 4 of us went on that small white car right there, and we went on a Finding Angels tour. Finding Angels tour is an angel is an adra donor, a regular adra donor. And this is the map of the Philippines. We tried to target the Adventist hospitals, schools, universities, churches, all around the country for 2 months. We went on this, we lived on that car, we went on barges, we went on all of those. It was scary. We didn't know if it was going to be effective. Our bosses were basically telling us, "Are you crazy?" We ended the trip humbled and in awe because the people that supported, the people who earned so little were willing to commit a portion of their salary each month to the cause of helping others. If you want to watch our journey, we are on YouTube. It's a 7-minute long video. 2 months ago, I left home. I left home and joined millions of other Filipinos that live the country because they're trying to find opportunities. When you have a country that is so bothered with a lot of issues, you usually try to find better ways to provide for your country. 1 of 10 Filipinos leave the country to find opportunities abroad. And yeah, I was one of them. And as of 2019, there are 4.2 million Filipinos currently in the United States. And though we are present in many different occupations, I think a lot of you know that we have a lot of nurses. You go to a hospital, you see nurses, caregivers, doctors, and those types. And all of those are contributing to our economy. You know, that $13.4 billion is actually last year was sent back to the Philippines. And this actually makes up 9% of our total GDP. That's a significant amount, isn't it? And so therefore, that is my mission possible. I am a fundraiser. I raise funds in the Philippines. I have now been put in this stage, in this platform, and I am given an opportunity to try to maybe do the same over here. Over here, you see this is a map of the United States wherein the Filipinos are located. We're basically everywhere. But then the darker areas are where most of them are located. I want to actually try to see if my other organization would still work with me and see, you know what, why not try and target those Filipino communities and see if they can contribute back home. So these are the areas, and then maybe working with my previous team, they can call and contact them, and then I could go and hop on a car and drive and maybe visit all of them. We have a lot of interstates. There is 2 years to this program. I am sure somehow on a weekend or on break, that is possible. That is perfectly possible. These are the things that I plan to offer our different organizations, projects, possible trips, and at the very minimum, be an angel. Be an angel for our home country. Because at the end of it all, I think my goal is the same as all of you. My goal is to not just raise funds for my country, but to inspire and educate fellow Filipinos to be philanthropists. Because you know what, I am hoping that in giving them an opportunity to connect them with a mission for home, that will plant a seed in their hearts that will ultimately grow into a lifestyle of generosity, which will change not just the Philippines, but the rest of the world. And that is possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Aimee. Next up to speak is Mohamed Hegazy. Mohamed is a mechanical engineer turned consultant. He holds a master's in mechanical engineering and another in entrepreneurship and development management. He has over a decade of experience in NGO management, business development, and strategic communication. Mohamed is also a co-founder of various civil society organizations and social initiatives with a current pursuit of a master's in philanthropic studies at Indiana University, Indianapolis. The title of his presentation is Flavors of Integration, Empowering Starts from the Kitchen.
Hello, everyone. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. For the past 10 years, I have been living a life of an immigrant. However, I never admitted that I'm one. My pride never allowed me to do so. I always joked that I am a global law-abiding citizen that any country that I decide to reside in should feel proud that I did so. However, I'm not alone. Just by 2020, there were over 45 million refugees here in the United States. 13% of the US population are foreign-born population. And if you think that this issue has nothing to do with the US, I came here with the bad news, because the climate change is happening. By 2100, there will be over 13 million climate refugees within the United States. Those are not folks who are going to immigrate from outside. Those are immigration happening within the states itself. So this is why I think everyone should care about immigration and refugees. You remember when I talked about my pride? This was tested every second for the last 10 years. Because every immigrant faces challenges of language barrier, cultural changes, racism, discrimination, and of course, in heart of center of these are financial hardship. This is a package that actually makes you vulnerable to other worse faiths. This is where sexual assault could happen, because you are the most vulnerable. You can join gangs, or at least be a victim of one. And unfortunately, most of the solutions that are provided right now, they follow some sort of a top-bottom approach, where they come up with a solution that doesn't really fit the needs of the refugee, or even understand their struggles and their pride. And most probably, most of the project that comes in, they just ask the immigrant to rely on a welfare programs. This is why I came up with my solution. This is a social enterprise. So basically, it's a company that aims for profit, for sustainability, but at the same time, it provides a solution for our issues. So I would like to welcome you and introduce CookUB. So this is an online platform that aims to harvest the power of shared economy and to peer-to-peer economy interactions. You can think of it as Uber for home-cooked meal, right? This is where we are providing a platform to actually connect between the cookers, aka our immigrants, and the foodies. How it works. So for the cook side, it's really easy. You just sign up, create your menu, and then start cooking from the convenience of your home. And what we can do as a social enterprise, so either we provide you with a micro loans or grants to actually set up your kitchen within the home, within the convenience of your own house, or we can even set up and operate a cloud kitchen. You can think of it as a, hub for, it's a kitchen open for everyone where people can come in and cook together. On the other side, from the foodie side, you can just order and enjoy the flavors. This is a sneak peek of the app where you can actually find the food out there. All of these are home-cooked meals, high quality, low prices, more quantity. I know foodies like myself will really like it. The social impact. So we are not just providing financial, but we are also providing independence, because we are giving an opportunity to start a business with very low barrier of entry. We also do and provide cultural exchange and inclusivity, because this is not an app, it's more of a community that gathers the cooks who happens here to be an immigrant, or actually any other vulnerable community, and the foodies, which happens that I fit both categories. This is why I love the idea, maybe. And lastly, we also provide the immigrants a sense of purpose, because they are providing for themselves with dignity. Remember my bride? Once again, this is a solution that has nothing to do or cannot affect your bride, because this time around you are providing something that you really care about, because it's representation of who you are, it's a representation of your culture, because food is never about recipes or ingredients. It's more about people who cook it. United States has always been a culture bot. I'm saying that this is the time to use an actual bot for integration. Thank you very much.
I must comment that a proposal about food close to dinner time is quite intriguing. All right, thank you, Mohamed. Last but certainly not least is Payton Goodman. Payton Goodman is a first-year doctoral student in philanthropic studies. Payton is studying the sustainability of civil society in East Asia. She is originally from Vincennes, Indiana, and is passionate about the LGBTQ+ community and women's issues. The title of Payton's presentation is Solutions for Suicide and Despair Among the LGBTQ+ Youth.
Is this on? Okay. Hello, everyone. I am honored to talk to you about an issue that is very dear to me and the possibility of a solution. I'm going to take this time to speak with you all about suicide and despair among the LGBTQ community, and I will not be offended if you feel the need to protect yourselves and leave. This topic is close to my heart as a member of the LGBTQ community. I am 24 years old, at the very end of this youth range I'll be speaking about. I consider myself very fortunate to have survived my youth to see the amazing opportunities afforded to me as a doctoral student at this university. I am a survivor of youth attempted suicide. In my rural hometown in southern Indiana, I was the first person to openly identify as gay in my high school. I didn't have a place to express myself, certainly not in school and not in my home. A feeling of belonging likely could have impacted my views of myself and my valuation of my life. I'm here today to pose a solution, one that could save lives and ensure that LGBTQ youth know that their lives matter. But first, let's examine the issue. I've been told I have 5 minutes to present, and I'm struck by the fact that by the time I finish, 7 youth in the United States will have attempted suicide. Suicide is the leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 24. For the LGBTQ community, youth are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide. That calculates to 1 attempted suicide every 45 seconds. Additionally, in recent legislative terms, as some of us may have noticed, Indiana has passed several bills to diminish the identity of the LGBTQ community, particularly transgender youth, including in House Bill 1608, passed in July of this year. Indiana Public Radio reports that Indiana lawmakers have filed over 100 pieces of legislation specifically targeting the rights of LGBTQ individuals. These moves seek to erase safe spaces, particularly in schools, and there is research that proves that that can increase the rates of suicide. Research shows that youth who felt that their schools were an affirming space for their identity report lower rates of suicide attempts. In a survey of US students, we can see a significantly higher rate of suicide ideation in LGBTQ youth at 48% than their peers at 13%. So research shows that affirmation in schools lowers risks of suicide, but our legislation is including Don't Say Gay bills, which restrict schools and teachers' ability to not only affirm their students, but also keep them safe from being outed, as they are required to report to parents if a student asks to use alternative names and pronouns. So why should we care? In the United States, 26.6 million people identify as part of this community. That's around 8% of the population. The likelihood that everyone in this room knows somebody in the community is high. And from what I've told you about suicide among youth, nearly half of these individuals had at least once seriously considered attempting suicide. Luckily, they did not succeed. I'm proud to be among them. These individuals live to see gay marriage become legal, as well as some states allowing child adoption for the first time for LGBTQ couples. They live to see the US military repeal the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, allowing them to serve as openly gay. They live to see themselves represented in politics, law, education, and media. And these are all developments that occurred in the last 10 years. We should be concerned about keeping our children alive to see the next 10 years of development for gay people. Furthermore, the research I presented today shows definitively that affirmation of identity is essential to ensuring LGBTQ youth survival. But with our increasing restrictions on schools, and for many, a lack of space in the home to express themselves, youth are left with nowhere to gain that life-saving affirmation. When looking to the nonprofit sector, Indiana only has 28 nonprofits registered in Indiana that are working in the LGBTQ sphere. Only one of these, located in Indianapolis, Indiana Youth Group, is youth-centered. I believe that nonprofit sector can provide adults through a local after-school program that aim to affirm identity, empower our youth, and prevent attempted suicide. Research shows us that LGBTQ students having one accepting adult in their life reduces their risk of suicide by 40%. That is very significant. All right, so solutions. I suggest that while advocacy efforts to repeal recent LGBTQ legislative efforts are vital, but nonprofits offer a unique space to bring much needed support to youth, while organizations like the ACLU attempt to repeal those proposed legislative efforts. To develop these nonprofit after-school programs, we should look to successful programs in other states. When I was doing my research, I identified quite a few of these, including the Trevor Project, It Gets Better Project, NYC Unity, and GLSEN as exemplary nonprofit organizations with youth-centered programs. Indiana Youth Group here in Indianapolis also serves as a great institution to inform this issue. From the Indiana Youth Group's programming, I identified their Pen Pal initiative, which pairs LGBTQ youth in areas of the state where no sort of organization like this exists. They can sign up via post mail or email, provide an application, and of course, proof of age and identity. And then it's up to them to decide how best to support each other and how often to communicate. In addition to this program, the organization should build capacity for counseling services, art and music therapy, and a 24/7 crisis services line to direct teens to community resources. Many LGBTQ youth organizations rely on programs that offer alternative forms of counseling and therapy to give a safe space for youth to express themselves. In addition, connecting to crisis service can prove vital to working with individuals who have a higher risk for self-harm, suicidal ideation, and mental health issues. And we should also definitely look at empowerment. Many college organizations participate in lavender graduations. If you're not familiar, those are graduations where LGBTQ individuals are honored with a special commitment ceremony where they can dress the way they choose, use their pronouns and their preferred names. I propose that we in this organization offer that sort of graduation to high school students as well. Also, the It Gets Better project gives us the idea of a yearly queer book, which is exactly what it sounds like, a queer yearbook. Here, students can use digitalized displays of artwork, as well as have the opportunity to have their picture taken in a way that presents them the way that they choose. Those sort of, while It Gets Better asks for national submissions to this, a local organization could take their members and do this in a more like local setting, and then distribute that queer book digitally or materially. And then lastly, It Gets Better also gives us a model for a focus of, a workshop that focuses on a variety of queer-related issues, one being how to stay safe while being out. There are simply some places where it is dangerous to be out. So we need to equip kids with ways to stay safe, but also feel that they can express themselves. I'm gonna wrap it up. This type of organization does not currently exist for all but one Indiana community. The need is great, and this type of organization will affirm identities as well as care for the mental, emotional, and physical needs of the LGBTQ youth community. And having even just one adult to confide in and uphold their identity, youth are, again, 40% less likely to attempt suicide. While nonprofit programs might not be a comprehensive solution to this issue, it's important to improve a sense of belonging, and this solution could reduce suicide rates significantly while we fight for legislative wins. So let's intervene and change the lives of countless LGBTQ individuals.
Thank you, Payton. And thank you to all of our presenters, all 10 of you who shared your personal journeys, the things you're passionate about, and real solution to help so many people around the world. Let's give a round of applause to all 10 of our presenters. Thank you. Now, I'd like to ask the Board of Visitors to follow Pamela Clark out for deliberation at this time.
Well, thank you all for waiting patiently while the Board of Visitors deliberated. Before I announce the results, let me thank the wonderful team who organized this, Pamela and Bailey and Madison and Greg and Aaron, and thank you all for organizing this incredible festival of creativity and passion. So I also want to convey to all of the participants, the contestants, you all did a wonderful job. I wish you were in the room with me as the Board of Visitors was deliberating. These are some of the national leaders in philanthropy, and they took all of your presentations very seriously, and you impressed, each and every one of you impressed them deeply. So congratulations to all of our participants. Thank you. It takes a lot of courage to be up on this stage, but that's why I'm hiding behind this podium here too. So thank you all for sharing your passion with us. And thank you to our Board of Visitors for deliberating so carefully, and for the rest of you who have joined us to witness this important part of what our school has to offer. We will begin with the undergraduate winners as well. But before also we go there, let me thank our wonderful MCs who helped stage for the first time. We included our BV and Deborah, Tiffany, and Courtney. Thank you so much for helping to stage the wonderful Mission Possible. And of course, we should thank our donors who made Mission Possible possible. Thank you. Great. So in the undergraduate category, in third place, we are pleased to offer third place to Porshea Johnson. So Porshea coming up, and we'll take a nice photo with all three of the winners. Great. Second place goes to Jordan Rosner. And first place goes to Zoie Alger. I'm just making sure they're... And now in the graduate category, third place goes to Payton Goodman. Second place, Mohamed Hegazy. And first place in the graduate category for Mission Possible goes to Aimee Tapeceria. Well, one more round of congratulations for all of our participants. They are all winners, and the awards, as you may have heard at the beginning, involve scholarship funds. So if you want to commit scholarship funds to the cause so that we can distribute them more fully, please don't hesitate to come up to us at any point. So we appreciate that. Thank you all for joining us, and this is always the highlight of the year. And have a wonderful evening, and please do come up and personally congratulate each one of our wonderful participants. Thank you all.